guys. Great morning, great morning, great morning, great morning. I am Amanda Sapp here on Amazing 102.5 FM, your Do Good Through Good station where we're changing lives one listener at a time. Great morning to our listeners in the car at 102.5 FM and those of you that are tapped in on our website at www.amazing1025fm.org. And of course, great morning to you that are listening to us on our free KMAZ app. We're always so excited about bringing you guests who are doing amazing things in amazing ways. I cannot wait to share with you who I have on the airwaves with us today. So please turn your volume all the way up. But first, let me introduce to you who I have. Born in Chicago and raised in Hampton, Virginia, he is among the world's foremost jazz trombonists, composers, historians, and educators. He has served as lead trombonist with Wynton Marsalis and the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra for nearly 20 years, along with serving as musical director and composer for that. He has performed under the baton of esteemed conductors such as Kurt Masur, Seiji Ozawa, and Esa-Pekka Salonen. I hope that I got those names right. He loves good music. Please welcome onto our amazing airwave, Mr. Vincent. Great morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
I tried to share with our listener who exactly you are, but I feel it is best that you describe to someone who is just hearing about you for the very first time, just a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm a musician and an educator, and I've been fortunate to be surrounded by some of the greatest musicians of our times all throughout my career, and a lot of them taught me a lot of things. A lot of them I was able to add things to what they were doing, and I've just in my career, which has spanned my entire adult life at this point, I feel at this point I have a lot of things that I can impart upon people that were my age when I first started, and I recognize all the mentors and the people that brought me along, and then I enjoy bringing other people along now.
Vincent, who introduced you to the trombone? Who said he put this instrument in your hand and said, "Here, play this"?
Nobody introduced me to it. My father was a trumpet player, and my brother plays trumpet. I just didn't want to play trumpet. So we went to seventh grade. My mother took me to the guidance counselor's office, and we had to pick, your instrument on the form. And they had trumpet, and they check your box here, and they had trumpet, and they had trombone. I just knew I didn't want to play trumpet, so I just checked the next one down, which was trombone. That's how I started playing trombone.
Love that. Love that. Now, how does little Vincent go from choosing to play the trombone to deciding to co-found Jazz Houston?
Well, my wife and I lived in New York for a number of years. And as you said before, I worked with Wynton Marsalis in the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. I've been with him for 23 years. And so we had been there for a number of years, and we always wanted to start a jazz organization somewhere else. So we started to look for places where we wanted to move to and wanted to also start this organization. And we came to Houston, and we were fortunate to meet with rest in peace, the late Larry Green, City Councilman Larry Green, who was very supportive in the beginning of us and introduced us to a lot of people. And we saw the base here of support and a jazz-loving community here in Houston. And seeing that there was no jazz counterpart in Houston to the orchestra and to the symphony, to the ballet, to the Houston Grand Opera, that we believe every city should have an organizational counterpoint to all of those arts organizations. And unfortunately, looking around the country, we don't have many jazz organizations, period, but we should in every major city. So seeing that Houston had such a fertile ground, this was the place where we decided to come. We fell in love with it.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think jazz may not be as prevalent as it once was? Or am I wrong altogether? Tell me a little bit about what we need to do to bring jazz more into the forefront.
Well, because jazz was the popular music of America less than 100 years ago. Whereas, orchestral music and other music hasn't been the popular music of those in those communities where it came from for millennia at this point. And so they've had societies which supported them. As the music kind of was ingrained in the popular music going through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and it was still kind of had a presence. There were jazz festivals. You heard the word jazz. People tended to think that it was always there and being cultivated. And when it was actually losing a lot of support from, of course, the mainstream record companies and the infrastructure around, And so it's at a point where people, you still hear the word, about jazz festivals. There's a lot of music that's called jazz music that's not jazz music that's played. There's a lot of you just because you hear it, you think that it's in fertile ground, but it really is something that needs an injection of support from the general public, and it's going to come through them being able to hear it and hear it being played live on a very high level, to experience the feeling of it, and by teaching young people who are interested of it, of which we do have a lot of young people that want to play jazz music in America, of teaching them and make sure they're getting good focused instruction on how to play it. They fall in love with it. They cultivate the new generation of listeners and players, and then that starts to get the ball rolling.
Tell us a little bit about how you get the young people that you do to get involved. Are you choosing from different schools? Can you give us a little bit about the process that it takes for a young person to be a part of Jazz Houston?
Well, we started our youth orchestra in 2021, and we'd had aspirations to do it. And of course, the pandemic interrupted everything. We were going to do it before the pandemic. And so we started in 2021. We have a one youth orchestra at this point, where we're looking to expand the program only because of the turnout that we've had at our auditions. So every year, the youth orchestra re-auditions to be a part of that year's orchestra. And we've had so many applicants. We've had enough that unfortunately we've had to turn away to form a second group or so. And there's also a great need in Houston to cultivate. I should have prefaced it by saying our band is a high school band. There's a great need in Houston to cultivate middle school players who want to learn how to play jazz music also. So we love to form another ensemble which focuses on middle schoolers. And there's also programs featuring toddlers that we'd like to do, jazz programs featuring toddlers that we're planning to implement in the future too. So there's there are a lot of opportunities and a great need for it. But and so we're hoping to grow into that space very soon.
And also, if you could, for someone who's just tapping in right now, how do parents get their kids involved? What is the website? What is the email? How do they connect with you guys?
Sure. Our website is jazzhouston.org. And there you can see the audition, all the audition materials. We've already auditioned for this year, so this year's band is set. But the auditions happen every August, and we start to post around May or so about the audition date for the summer, May or June, for the audition date coming up that next August with all the new requirements. And the way that the program works is that the program it runs throughout the academic year. And throughout the year, we rehearse every Sunday from 3 to 5. We have various performances throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, we take the group on a trip to collaborate with another youth jazz orchestra. So in 2021, we took them to New York City, and we did a collaboration with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Youth Orchestra, which I used to direct when we lived there years ago. And then we took them on tours of the Juilliard School, the Manhattan School of Music. They got to meet the late show, India Owens, a great bassist with the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And then so we take them around to schools so they can visit if they're interested in pursuing music further in postgraduate career. We let them meet professional musicians. They got a master class with Wynton Marsalis. And then last year we took them to Washington, D.C. and did the same thing with the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. And we did a joint performance there with the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. And they met with Sean Jones at the Peabody Conservatory and Warren Wolf up there. And so we took them to Howard University, to the jazz department there. And they met with Felicia Rashad at Howard University. And so we take them on a trip that has these multiple layers on it at the end of every year. So every year we re-audition and form a new group, and we go through that process again.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing that information. Hopefully a parent that's tuned in will take that and take the next step forward to connect with you guys. I'd also like to learn about how you all are honoring Leonard Bernstein's humanitarianism through music.
Sure. Well, Leonard Bernstein was a polarizing figure in American history. Period. He was, of course, a composer and orchestral conductor, and but at a time in the 1950s and 60s when people in that world were not really championing jazz music very much, he was very much in favor of jazz music and loved the music, loved the all the elements of it. Had no problem with the origins of it being a music that was created by African Americans, something there weren't many African Americans that had positions in symphony orchestras and things like that in those days. And so he was very much a maverick in the way that he was able to spread the love of jazz throughout the classical world. And when he composed, he used a lot of elements of jazz music in his compositions. And so in 2009, Jazz at Lincoln Center commissioned myself and another great composer named Rich DeRosa to create a program that was celebrated his centennial. And so we took a number of his works, and Rich DeRosa, who was the composition instructor at the University of North Texas, he and I both arranged Leonard Bernstein's music for a jazz orchestra and presented the premiere of that concert back then. And then I've gone on to lead it a few times at the Kennedy Center and other places. And so we're doing it at St. John's on September 28th with the Jazz Houston Orchestra, which is the orchestra that is housed by the organization that my wife and I founded, Jazz Houston.
This is so cool. Tell me how you feel about having the opportunity to do the things like this, connecting with young people who love music just like you do, honoring trailblazers as Leonard Bernstein as you are. Give me a little bit about how you feel about seeing all of these things come to pass, come into fruition, and being executed well.
Well, you take assessment of your own life and your experiences and the things that people have taught you. And it all boils down to you come to a conclusion at some point, that it's your purpose to create, whatever it is that's the sum of all of your factors, all of the things that go into your equation. So for me, all of the people that have taught me about the music, that have imparted, how you go about being a great musician, how you go about being a teacher, conveying it to somebody in a way that they'll get something from it, all those kind of things, and then celebrating the great figures in the music. And also, myself, I'm a composer myself, and writing music that continues and furthers the genre, being a part of all of that motion is very important to me. And I think that's the sum of everything that I've learned from all the people that have taught me. And so it's very gratifying, being able to celebrate Leonard Bernstein and being able to do it with my wife. And it's very important to me that I continue on the path that people like Frank Foster and Illinois Jacquet and those people who were older when I was in my 20s, they were teaching me all these things. And of course, my Wynton Marsalis, I've learned a lot from him. So all of these things that the people that have invested in me, it's important now that you give it back to the world somehow.
Love that. Let me just make sure I got it right here. You guys are celebrating Leonard Bernstein at 105 with the Jazz Houston Orchestra. This is going to be happening on Thursday, September 28th at 6 p.m. at the We Serve Theater, also known as St. John's Downtown, located at 2019 Crawford Street. You all are going to have a Talk Back Jazz pre-concert forum moderated by Constable Alan Rosen. And then the concert itself happens immediately after. People can go on Eventbrite to find out more. Is there any place else that they can purchase tickets? How and where? How does that work?
Eventbrite is the main place to purchase tickets. You can go to get to it also through our website at jazzhouston.org, or you can go straight to Eventbrite and search for Leonard Bernstein. You'll find it there.
Vincent, we do have to wrap this interview up, and we'd like to leave fans, followers, listeners, and supporters with something inspiring, something empowering, something they can take with them the rest of the day, the rest of the week, and all the way up to the weekend. What do you want to leave us with today?
Well, if you have something to give, if you have something that was given to you, it's your responsibility to give it to someone else. So do your best to give someone some of the best parts of yourself.
Love that. And how do we find you?
You can find me on September 28th at St. John's at the concert, or at vincentgardner.com on my website. If you're ever in New York City at Jazz at Lincoln Center, I perform there regularly at 60th and Broadway, Columbus Circle, and wherever else we're on tour around the world. Love to see you. Vincent
Gardner of Jazz Houston, thank you so much for being our guest here today on the Amanda Sapp Morning Show. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey guys, look, we've come down to the end of the show, and I'm going to leave you with the same thing I always leave you with. Be the change you want to see, and if not you, who? If not now, when? This is the Amanda Sapp Morning Show, an amazing 102.5 FM, your do-good, through-good station, where we're changing lives one listener at a time. Until next time, I'm out.